ESPN front office insider who joins us right now. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
What's up, Michael?
Here's what I want to do. I want to play for both of you something that our friend Chris Canty said. Of course, he said it on this show, although he is the host of Kenny and Carlin, but he also is on Greeny. Man, Chris Canty is all over the place on this network these days. But he talked about players, quarterbacks in the NFL who have done less with more, and he feels there's one player who has done the least with the most.
Has any quarterback done less with more? Think about the supporting cast that Dak Prescott has come into pretty much every season that he's had.
Last year.
I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, rushing champ, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you name
Michael
it.
Gallup.
One of the best offensive lines that we've seen in the last 2 decades in the National Football League. Last year, you had a player on the defensive side of the ball that was in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year. He might be the best defensive player coming into 2022.
Kirk Cousins.
That being Micah Parsons. But all I'm simply saying is, for the $40 million that Jerry Jones paid him every single year, like $40 million average annual value for a guy that was considered once upon a time to be a top 10 quarterback. Why don't we have more from Dak Prescott when it matters the most?
It's a hell of a point.
Only one playoff win? Come on, bro. We're sitting here waiting on it now. You don't have any excuse as to why you can't get it done.
You can hear Max and Harry Douglas throwing in some other options that we'll get to in Real or Not Real in a moment. But just first reaction to that from both of you. Go ahead, Mike. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, guys, I totally disagree. I think Dak Prescott's a rising superstar. If you go back last year, Key, that offensive line was really good for a while, but they were banged up. Gallup got hurt. And to me, they have a chance to be really good moving forward if CeeDee Lamb can become the frontline number one guy. But I actually think Dak Prescott solidified that franchise. I think he's their best player, and I think their future is bright. So I don't see it the way Chris Canty does at all.
Yeah, I have no idea what Chris Canty is talking about, Mike. I think when you look at it, you laid it out perfectly. First of all, the offensive line was banged up. The running game never really got going at the second half of the season the way it was the first half of the season. And all Dak Prescott has done is come back off an injury, try and get this team going in the right direction. They moved on from Amari Cooper, like you mentioned. CeeDee Lamb now is the frontline guy. Cedric Wilson is gone. Michael Gallup is coming back off an injury. Dalton Schultz is there as a tight end. The defense wasn't up to snuff over the last couple of years until all of a sudden they got a better defense. It's just interesting to hear what Chris Canty, the Giant player, has to say.
All right, let's get to some more. Real or not real when it comes to that question, it does less with more. Are you ready? Let's start with one that I'm really curious of your answers. Mike, we'll begin with you. Aaron Rodgers. Real or not real?
This year he better do.
More.
Yeah, I would say this year he better do less with more because he let Davante Adams go because he was so selfish, not only with his contract, guys, but with the timing. So he has to make do with Christian Watson because he made the bed. Now he has to sleep in it. And this is going to be a huge year to assess the true greatness of Aaron Rodgers.
Look, here's what I would say. Aaron Rodgers is in a situation where he's going to be scrutinized heavily. I think Aaron Rodgers did do a lot with less outside of Davante Adams. The offense never really had a true identity other than Rodgers to Adams, Rodgers to Adams. They never got a bunch of number ones and number two receivers to go along with what Adams was able to do. So I would say he certainly has done more with less.
Okay. Now, again, it's real or not real. Does this quarterback do less with more? Russell Wilson, Key.
In Seattle, he did less with more for me. I think he'll do more with less in Denver this time around. I haven't seen those receivers flash the way that you would have hoped in Cortland Sutton, along with Jared Jeudy and Tim Patrick. If they could come to the party and Russell Wilson can live up to his end of the bargain, then this team could be in the running in the division. I don't think so, though.
Yeah, I agree with Key Allen, which is I think he did more with less in Seattle, but now he has to do a whole lot more with a whole lot more in terms of the skill players in Denver. The problem is the AFC West is loaded, so Russell Wilson has elevated those around him. I think he may have a good year, and Denver still may not make the playoffs.
All right, real or not real then. How about for Kyler Murray? Does he do less with more?
I think Kyler Murray has done. See, the less with more would be unfair because he's been hurt the second half of the season. He's done about right though. He's been right about there. So I would say he's done more. He's done more.
Mike?
Yeah, I'd say that it's real that he has done less with more because that offense has really been designed for him to accentuate what he does great, spread the field, and he has a great arm, great athleticism. He's been a good player, not a great player, so I actually think he's left some meat on the bone, so I say he's done less with more.
Matt Ryan, Mike, has he done less with more?
No, I think that's not real. I think he's done more with less. He's been a really good player for a long time. He's been the steadying force of the Falcons for years. And I think when you look at the post-Andrew Luck options for the Colts, what they've gone through, be it Phillip Rivers, obviously the disaster with Carson Wentz, I think Matt Rogers was a great move by the Colts, and I think he'll solidify that position, and I think the Colts rebound and make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, not real at all. I think when Mike said everything about Matt Ryan is one of the top quarterbacks when healthy in the National Football League. He didn't give you the same pop that he gave you his first several years in the league, but the Indianapolis Colts certainly got an upgrade from the last two quarterbacks.
There's a lot of other quarterbacks. We can go down the list on this thing, though, but obviously with so much quarterback movement, we'll see this year the different player. I mean, it all seems to be quarterbacks, wide receivers getting paired up, and so the idea now is that can you do more with more? That's all we're asking for from a lot of these quarterbacks, no doubt about it. Mike, great stuff as always. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Somehow, someway, LeBron, AD, and Kyrie, what are they in the West? We go to Al in Wisconsin first. Al.
Al? Or no Al?
You guys might want to pick him
Al.
up. I tried picking him up. Didn't happen.
Al? Somebody has to pick Al up. All right, next caller.
All right. Tim in South Carolina?
Well, I guess right now, stand by because we're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. We're going to get that sorted out as Alan Hahn and Keyshawn continue to talk about the Kyrie Irving potential trade to the Los Angeles Lakers.
What happened, Key? Are we just not getting the calls through? What's going on?
No, we got some situations, technical issues going on that we're going to try to get resolved before we get back to the callers.
Oh, on the call and the things. I see. All right. Well, all right. That's fine. All right. You want to hit him up for? Okay. All right. Yate's going to get him for me. All right. Let's try Randy in the Bronx then. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen?
Good.
Everything is. I hope you guys are good this morning. I just have a trade scenario. I was thinking Kyrie Irving can go to L.A. Russell Westbrook, nobody wants that contract, so why don't the Knicks should take him for the year? We're not winning a championship regardless, so we take on Russell Westbrook and we take on Seth Curry. Lakers get Alec Burke and Kyrie Irving, and the Knicks send Julius Randle and Evan Fournier over to Brooklyn.
Why did I know that somehow, some way, this was going to be a way for a Knicks fan to get rid of Julius Randle, Key? Why did I just know that that's what this was going to be about? I don't know if I don't know if that makes sense. Russell Westbrook, it's $47 million. You're going to have to give me a whole bunch of first-round picks to take on a contract, even for 1 year. I just don't see that one happening.
Yeah, no, the contract situation that the Lakers are in with Westbrook, if they're looking to move him and collect up on Kyrie, it's going to be difficult and tough to do without surrendering a couple first-round picks.
All right, we got Al in Wisconsin back. Let's get Al. Go ahead.
Hey there, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Alan, you know what you get with Kyrie, with LeBron, and Anthony Davis? You know what you get?
What do you get?
You get an absolute dumb, ridiculous, worst decision in the Western Hemisphere. Let me share this with you. We can talk about Kyrie's talent and what he can do. When you get a person who is unreliable, undependable, and who at any given time, for whatever reason, whatever's going on in the history of life, or that could be come up with, he can just punch out and check out on you. When you're going to battle and trying to get a championship, you have to have the dependability and know that you've got somebody in the trenches with you that you can depend on.
But look, check this out, though. Check this out, though, before I even let you keep going. You do understand he never checked out on LeBron James. Okay? Let's make that clear. He never checked out on LeBron James. He will be going back with LeBron James. Sometimes people communicate with others differently, and you can get them to do certain things.
Yep.
You know, you talk to them a certain way. LeBron James in the individuals at Clutch Management, who essentially is helping the Lakers put rosters together, they know how to massage it a certain way and talk to him and make him feel better than maybe Boston did or maybe the people in New York is doing.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying.
No, it's true. See, Key.
He never checked out on LeBron.
No, and I'll go as far as this before we'll put a bow on this conversation. We certainly will get back to it, of course, and also back to the calls in a little while. But it is also the idea that you have Kyrie with KD, and KD has I told you what he said earlier. I'm not getting involved in all that stuff. He stays out of things. He is not really a proactive leader. He is more of a, you do you, I'll do me, and we'll just try to figure it out. LeBron James if Kyrie and LeBron James were teammates the last couple of years and Kyrie was the things that he was doing, I think LeBron would have been in his ear a little more. I think there would have been a little more conversation, a little more motivation.
But you also got to think about it this way. LeBron was doing the same things, Han, except he was playing on the court.
Yep. Yeah. Well, again, all right, we'll get back to this conversation for sure, but we have a lot more to get to with you. It's Keyshawn, J. Will, Max, Alan Hahn in for Max, presented by Progressive Insurance.